I'm in, so let me get it.
The 2-1 pitch. Swung on and drilled deep to right field. Going back, Ramirez looking up. See ya! Home run off the facing of the right field upper deck. And the Yankees have come all the way back.
There it goes, a long drive. If it stays fair, home run. Misfires, passes across the shot. They score! Can you believe it? My goodness!
What is up, Dan?
Hello, Andy. Happy Monday. Happy Dr. Martin Luther King Day. What did you do this weekend?
I did watch a little bit of football this weekend. I thought it was a fun weekend of football. I actually got a chance to get out of the house. It's a rare opportunity for me. So my wife said, go ahead, go hang out with the boys for a little bit and watch a little bit of the games on Saturday. So enjoyed at least game number 1. Number 2 wasn't quite as exciting, but yeah, got to go out and get out of the house a little bit. And
so what were your thoughts? Was that a interception in game number 1? Was that a catch that he should have been down?
We'll get to that, I'm assuming, but let's just say that I thought it was a fantastic game with a horrible ending. Is kind of the only way I can put that one. But interesting week of football, that's for sure, and still going right now as in the extended weekend is. You got the college final going on right now between Indiana and Miami, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So,
and you realize Indiana, I did not realize this. Week 0, you know how college has week 0 now, which is like the 6 or 7 games before the season officially starts.
Mm-hmm.
They were plus 1,000 to win the national championship. They were ranked in the top 20, but yet 1,000. You could have basically put $100 down and gotten yourself $1,000.
Like I said, if we had Michael J. Fox's little book from Back to the Future, I think this whole thing would be a little bit easier. But I will say this, Indiana's been beyond impressive. But if you're Miami, after what they've done the past 2 games to Oregon and Alabama, you've got to like where you're sitting right now, being only down 10-0. I think you kind of have to like that one. So I think that's they're in a good spot.
I'll tell you, one of the things I love about Indiana and Kurt Cignetti, which is a Pennsylvania guy, by the way, he started at IUP, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, which is kind of funny. Dude, he does not take his foot off the gas pedal. That's my biggest pet peeve in college. And James Franklin from Penn State used to do that all the time. Get a 2-touchdown lead in the second quarter. Next thing you know, the other team's up because they go into a shell. Cignetti, he just keeps his foot down on that gas pedal, and he doesn't care if they win by 30, 40, 50. It's actually fun to watch. People say it's a jerk move, but dude, with all the penalties and everything in football, you never know. No lead is safe.
Well, you saw it this weekend. I mean, Seattle did the right thing if we get to that game a little bit too, but they just decided, nope, we're going to put our foot on the throat of the 49ers and keep rolling because, there's no reason in some of the other games, particularly New England and Houston and Buffalo and Denver, that either one of those 2 teams, both Buffalo and Houston, should have been sticking around. But you let teams hang around, bad things are going to happen. And I think, but he's an interesting story just completely about what he's done to this franchise or this team, I should say, because you don't see someone come in and in 2 years go from dead last,
their last bowl game, 1991 Copper Bowl,
to just about unbeatable, knock on wood, they get through tonight. I mean, that's unheard of. And without 5-star recruits, just a system in place that is just designed to win. And, it makes you wonder, like, all these, Black Monday with all the coaches fired in the NFL turned into, even McDermott got fired today from Buffalo. There's something nice about being a college coach because you don't have the pressures of being under the Y of the GM, and you can kind of free to do what you want.
Yeah, but now you got to compete with the NIL. You got to compete
that's true.
with transfer protocol, people leaving every year.
Yeah, I saw that transfer portal today, and just the sheer number of names was ungodly huge. But I mean, it's dangerous there too, because if you don't end up getting selected and you name yourself and you put yourself out there, could lose your scholarship. So there's some risks involved in that. But if you're a big name, you're going to get what you want out of that. So
now here's where I'm very interested to see, and it looks like they're on a commercial break, but Miami looks like they got a little bit of a drive going. So Indiana, if they win the championship, you would think, okay, everybody's going to want to go there. But these elite 5-star athletes, is it going to take a couple years of Indiana winning before people say, you know what, I want to go there? Or are they still going to gravitate towards the SEC, the warm weather? And the other thing, I never even thought about this, but I was talking to a guy a couple weeks ago. He said with the NIL now and all this millions of dollars these guys are getting, they're looking for states with low tax thresholds and, Texas. And so
that's true. Gosh, I didn't even think about that, but you're right. For kids, I don't think that's as big a deal unless they're being, financially advised by the right people. They want to win, and they want to win a place that's got a little bit of glamour to it. This is definitely going to shine a light on Indiana in a positive way. It's going to change the way that people think. I mean, here I am living, 20 miles outside of College Park and thinking the Terps could never compete in the Big Ten. Like, why ever leave the ACC where you were kind of in the hunt for the basketball title every year? And honestly, you could make some noise in football and go, a game or two above 500 and be in some sort of cheap bowl game and have fun with it. It's fine. Don't go to the Big Ten. It's impossible. You can't. There's only 4 teams that are ever going to have a shot at cracking that title. And then something like this happens and you're like, wow, maybe there is a chance out there for some of these schools that didn't think it was possible to make some noise. So it's kind of neat.
I'm waiting for the, I say .com, that's probably not the right word, but like the Silicon Valley, like the Zuckerbergs and all that had no athletic ability whatsoever, but they're billionaires, and basically just putting millions and tens of millions of dollars to field the best team out there for like a Stanford or a Cal.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that can happen, especially when you wake up and you're seeing Mark Cuban's face all over interviews with Indiana. I mean, it's like, yeah, these things can happen. Money does change things. That's for sure.
So you went out with the boys to watch the first game. What did we do? Did we do wings? Did we do appetizers, meal? What did we get?
Oh, for the games? Yeah, it's just winners and dinners. Yeah. Yeah, I went a little bit rogue. We did have some wings, but I ended up getting a chicken BLT with onion ring, and I liked it, and I enjoyed it. That was good stuff. So that was not bad.
It's funny. I might have to add that to the list. I was compiling a list with a friend of mine. Foods that are better. How do I want to explain the conversation we were having? Foods that you can make at home that are always going to be better than food you get out at a restaurant, or foods at a restaurant that are always better than what you can make at home.
There's a science to that. There was an article written about scientifically the effects of the nose and the brain when you're out at a restaurant and you order a bottle of wine. How it's always going to taste better there than if you got the same bottle of wine, you cracked it, you're sitting on your living room table. It doesn't have the same effect because the ambiance, the mood, where you are, and all that stuff actually affects the brain and makes the wine, and probably in many cases the food, taste better. So bar food at a bar probably tastes better than if you try to make wings and fries at home or something like that. There is just something to it. So, there's
like a salad bar too. When you go to a restaurant and they bring you a salad, it's always so much better than when you get a salad at home.
Yeah.
And you can have all the same ingredients, but for some reason, when it's like prepared and they bring it out to you, or even a salad bar.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Freshly spritzed, and unless you go to one of those like rural places where the lettuce is all dried out.
When you say freshly spritzed, it's really hard not to. And now it just seems that much better. So,
dude, I love that when you go to the supermarket and those little sprayers, especially in the summer when it's like really hot and humid outside, you just stick your hands underneath to cool off.
So you're the guy. I was always wondering who the guy that stuck his hands in there was. So
right on top of the cilantro and Italian parsley.
Now I know who it is.
It's just good stuff. But yeah, grilled cheese. Better to be made at home than going out to a restaurant.
Agreed.
Pasta salad. We had like 7, 8, 9 things.
All right. Yeah, no, grilled cheese is definitely not Homer. That's the one you want to make at home. Breakfast is I want someone else to make it for me. I think breakfast, as good as you can be at home, something about breakfast on the road is better. Did they just miss a field? Yep, Miami just missed a field goal. Can't be doing that. Need points or a premium.
Did you put anything on now that we're getting familiar with the vernacular and the sites? Did you put anything down?
The courage is building. Not yet, but it's building. It's like Vesuvius ready to erupt. I'm getting there.
So I'm starting tonight my New Year's resolution. I have $25 in Indiana to get to 32.58. And we can dig a little deeper into this. We talked a little bit about it last week, but the minus 300 and just building up. And then I really thought about it. Instead of going for the ultimate gusto of, like starting with 25, trying to get to 25,000, start with 25, try to get to 200, then reset. Maybe start with 35, then try to get to 350, reset, and just keep going like that.
I like it.
I think there could be something to it.
Hey, there's a lot of ways of doing it, and sometimes it's just a mental approach when you don't feel like the end goal is so far away that you are a little bit more confident in what you're putting on the table. So there's something to it.
I'll tell you the other thing that there's something to. We were going through looking at bets that we made, and we realized because a friend of mine does the same thing I do, start like $10, $25, try to build it up. Every time we've started at either 10 or 25, we're like 1-0.
Okay.
The next one, we're 2-0. Again, you're just starting with $25, but when you've gotten that up to like 100, it's amazing how in your mind you start overthinking everything. Like when you start with $10, you're like, oh, I like this game, boom. When you
it's all
you're like,
but it's so mental. I mean, you think about that. You could, I think about that in terms of sports. You could be sitting there on first or third base and you could have 100 ground balls hit you in a game. It's no big deal. But if there's 2 outs and a runner on third base and, that's the tying run, that ground ball is a million times harder mentally than anything before. You look at Bill Buckner. I'll never forget that. When that ground ball went right through his legs and Ray Knight comes running around the plate. That's the kind of thing that with pressure will change everything and make something that seems routine that much more difficult. So I can only imagine if you're getting those big money situations, like, hey, you're up to 2,500. Do you want to double it and let it all ride again? No. You start to gosh, it's $25. Yeah, no big deal. But now it's growing. It makes it a lot tougher.
When I did that thing that I told you about, was that a 2 summers ago, started with $25, had that up ultimately to 5,000, hit the 5,100 threshold. When it got to like 3,000, it almost wasn't enjoyable because you were so nervous. You couldn't enjoy the games. It was like, in my mind, it was like, well, if I lose, it was only $25. But in reality, it's like I could cash out and have 3,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be hard to. And even if you say, okay, well, I'll just, I'll pull 1,500 out and put 500 down. It just feels like it's a heavy weight. Like you're playing with real money. It's no longer like just for fun, because it's real easy on paper. Like, yeah, if I get to day 95, I might have $125,000. Good luck. Cause that's a mental bear.
Yeah.
So,
and you could do the start with $10, like think of 2 lanes, start with $10, the same bets. Then when you hit a certain threshold on both, assuming they both continue to win, reset the one and let the other one go to the moon.
You'll never think about the one you reset.
Yeah. That's all you're going to do. You're only going to think about that big one.
Never think about it. So speaking of bets, how do we do this weekend?
Yeah, so I texted Laura and told her. She was very happy, but I figured I'd save the news for the live stream here.
By the way, what a great guest she was last week. Just
phenomenal.
Yeah, she's a great guest.
Salt of the earth, very natural, funny, engaging. So, of course, the Hurricanes game is still up in the air, and that's the amazing thing with the point spread. You're watching the game, they missed the field goal. You think, all right, Indiana's got this, but the spread's 8.5. All they need is, it's still a coin toss according to the spread. But not counting tonight's game, as that's to be determined, Ms. Laura went 2-1.
Okay, good for her. That's good.
Andrew, 2-1. You got the Bills game wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, 1-2.
Oh.
AI against the spread, 3-0.
No.
So here's the thing. It gave a whole little synopsis, and this is what I noticed. The final, it said wins are expected to be this, and this team does this and against the run. But the final, 2-sentence conclusion, tough team to beat at home. It said the same thing for all three, but all three covered, and they were all at home.
It's true.
So, I wonder if that really was AI or if that was just kind of a cheat sheet that they default to taking the home team.
Well, I'll tell you, the one that I got wrong, if you want to start there, what were your thoughts on that Buffalo-Denver game?
So a good friend of mine from college, not a roommate, but we were like floor mates all 4 years. I think his family's season ticket holders for the Bills. They live and breathe and die Buffalo. And he actually, I guess it was my junior year, got us tickets to see the Packers with Brett Favre at Rich Stadium, which was just such a cool experience. I mean, it was just, you're driving, nothing. Then all of a sudden you start to see this building, and then you just park on people's front lawns, and they $10, and that's where you park. It's not stadium parking. You're parking on somebody's lawn, and you get a can of diet soda or, stores brand soda for your $10 to park there. But it amazes me that Buffalo continues year after year to be involved in these games that always have some kind of controversial ending. The 13-second game with the overtime rules that were changed, and then another game where rules were changed. And this, I think do you redefine what a catch is again? But I really do believe God does things that make you say, you know what? So the NFL always thinks they're high and mighty and all that. And this was the decision. This was the rule. Boom, 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 boom. 24 hours later, exact same play happened in the Rams game.
Yeah,
completely different decision. But back to the Bills, it's so damn tough because one side of the argument is if there was no defender and he had gone down and the ball had rolled out, that would have been an incomplete pass. Nobody would have said a thing about it.
True.
But when you freeze frame each thing, he has possession. his knee is down and he's being touched by the Bronco. So that by definition is he should have been down.
Yeah, it was it definitely changed things, but it doesn't negate the fact that for the first time you could clearly say that Josh Allen was not even close to being at his best.
No.
When the heartbreak that happened the past few seasons have really been Josh Allen doing everything he could and still not being able to walk away because the team around him wasn't strong enough. He struggled. In fact, it was really a week of quarterback struggles, if you think about it. I mean,
and coach's decisions struggling.
Yes, the decision-making process, you're right, and then the sheer number of turnovers and interceptions. I've never seen anything like that in a weekend for playoff football before. I mean, we'll get to Houston, but my God, I don't think Stroud looked like he had the first time he ever picked up a football. I mean, it was crazy this weekend to watch these guys, and Josh Allen just didn't do enough. Yet they were still there. That was the amazing thing. Bo Nix looked good, but not good enough. Like it was a really interesting game where one team had no business hanging around. The other team should have long since won. And the anticlimactic ending of the penalty, which I thought was a little ticky-tack. Some people were like, yeah, it was pass interference, but they let them play the whole game. That's what bothered me the most part. It was one of the most physical games I've ever seen. Some of the best open field tackling I've seen in a long time. Both teams were hitting hard. The referees were keeping the flags in their pockets and not calling much, letting them play. And then in overtime with 2 minutes left, it was just, let's just throw as many flags as we possibly could. I said, come on. I hate it when games are decided and the players aren't the factor. That absolutely drives me nuts. And I feel like that was my biggest gripe. I'm not saying that Denver wouldn't have won anyway, and I'm not saying that Buffalo would have won. I'm just saying I hate to see it end that way. And so it was a disappointing finish to a really, really fun game to watch. I mean, it was a really, really fun game.
There's a show I listen to on Sirius called VSIN. It stands for Vegas Stats and Information Network, and the two guys at 4:00 are great. And they always say this, year after year, they say this: we should not know the referee or the umpire's names, and we should not see their faces more than we see the players' faces. And It's so true. Like when they become the story, it's not going to be a good game.
Nope. I mean, I'll forever know Jim Joyce's name as a guy who screwed Galarraga out of his perfect game in Detroit.
Yep.
I should never know who that guy is, but I'll infamously remember, that call at first base. What just happened? And it's terrible. And he said that really well, because we should know who they are. But
and I'll tell you what's getting annoying with these games is I don't even know what they're called, but you have your announcing crew, then you have your like Gene Steratore that is the rules analyst. Yeah. And they're just such lackeys for the league. They never say anything definitive. They just give their opinion, but they're supposed to be the ones that are actually know the rules.
Yeah.
So it's just
and you wonder, is Goodell sitting out there reading like, be careful what you say. We know. It's one of those.
But the play calling, in that Bills game, like I don't methodically go down, you kick a field goal, the game's over. Why he even threw that ball like that? And then every first down, they just ran up the middle.
Yep.
You were giving a down away every single time.
Well, I mean, I don't think it was just I don't think it was just the Bills game either. I mean, I watched what's his name? Ben Johnson from the Bears game. And he was so conservative, no creativity at all on so many of those 3rd and 1 must convert situations. Another team that had every opportunity to win and still just could not get it done. And another game where we saw way too many interceptions thrown by a quarterback. But yeah, there was a lack of creativity. The play calling was a little vanilla. There wasn't a lot to it. I think it was Buffalo. The most exciting play call was the ball was thrown to Cook, and then he kind of lateraled it to the tight end. And he kind of ran down for. I mean, that was like the most creative call of the entire weekend. But yeah, really kind of dull from the headset, and just bad quarterback play.
A new thing that I've started to notice in more and more of these games from like the second half of the regular seasons, and now all these teams are doing this hook and lateral and pitching. And if you think about it, it's what screwed Buffalo right before half. They should have just went into halftime, said we're down by a touchdown, we're getting the ball, we'll regroup, it will be tied.
Well, was that what you talking about, Allen's turnover?
Remember Allen, like 10 seconds, 20 seconds?
I'm not even sure what he was trying to do with that.
They kick the ball off, and then he's running and he pitches it.
Because he looked like he was trying to toss it to no one. There wasn't anybody. I have no idea what he was trying to do. And again, those are some weird, like, and you don't know if that's a guy who's desperate because he's like, we can't lose again. So you're kind of overthinking everything. But he just didn't look like Josh Allen. It was, but that was by far the most entertaining game, I think, of the weekend.
I think Allen may have had more pressure on him since Lamar and Mahomes weren't in the playoffs than if they were in the playoffs, because now everybody was saying, you don't do it this time, dude. That's on you.
I mean, but there's a little bit of truth to that if you think about it. I mean, right now, the representative for the AFC in the Super Bowl is either going to be a rookie or a backup quarterback. I mean, you don't have Mahomes this year. You don't have Lamar Jackson this year. Allen's not there. There's no Joe Burrow. There's no like legitimate quarterback threat that you are worried about. Derek May has to still prove his stripes. He's a young kid, and you don't know if the lights are going to get too bright for him. And Bo Nix is out last play of the game, or right before that, he breaks his ankle. I mean, that's it. It's Stidman time. Like, there's no one that was standing in the way of, and we called it. We said the winner of that Bills-Jags game we thought was going to represent the AFC. It looks very much like, hey, they're going to go into Mile High, and they're going to win, and they just completely shot themselves in the foot. So the biggest contender, I don't think anyone in the AFC has the ability to take out the winner of Seattle, LA. I think either one of those two teams should be your Super Bowl winner. But
yeah, but how about Charbonnet now done for the year? That sucks.
Yeah,
that's a big component.
Very true.
What was the game? That something you were just saying with the 49ers Seahawks game, that was just that was over before. Once they ran that ball back, you knew they weren't going to come back from that one.
Yeah, and they were battling so many injuries. You kind of knew that it was going to be a long shot for San Francisco, but Seattle's also a really good team. I think they're the most complete team in the entire playoffs right now, anyway, on both sides of the ball. So I never thought a former Jet would be getting this much critical acclaim, but
isn't that amazing? Though? It goes back to Sam Darnold. I mean, what was it? Carolina or the Jets? Nothing, horrible, released. Goes to Carolina, nothing, released, horrible. 49ers, I think 1 year is like a backup or whatever. You just wonder if there was like a remix machine. If Peyton Manning got drafted by, the Bengals with their notorious, like, not wanting to spend money to get what they need, would he be good? And it's like sales, like in real life. What's your territory? What's your product? What's your supporting thing? That really makes or breaks a lot of things. And Sam Darnold showing it, goes to Minnesota. What did he go? 15-2?
Systems make such a difference. And not just systems, but both sides of the coin. You look at someone like, I think we talked about this last week, you look at someone like Dan Marino. I think he was a better quarterback than Joe Montana. He never had a defense. He never had a running back. He had to throw the ball 50 times a game. So you're going to put up big numbers, but you're going to also lose a lot of games because that's an unwinnable formula. Tom Brady had a great line, good system in place, and was always protected. You keep guys upright, and then actually followed suit in Tampa Bay.
Isn't that funny, though? Think about that. Your examples, Dan Marino, two of the, in the 80s, two of the probably the best tandem of wide receivers, the Marx Brothers or Super Markers, whatever you want to call them. Who was that? Mark Clayton and Mark Duper?
Yep.
Couldn't win. You have Tom Brady, won all that stuff with wide receivers you can't even name. Then he gets Randy Moss. They can't win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they win regular season games, but they can't win the Super Bowl.
It is amazing, isn't it?
It baffles me.
But still, he was there. I mean, those are systems that are in place. I mean, and I think that's what – I mean, the Ravens had it for a while, you know, with just that solid defense that was going to smash mouth football you, and then the offense just had to not turn the ball over. You know, they were a Cundiff and Evans pass away from being in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row in 2011 and winning it in 2012. But there's another example. Flacco, I think, is a Hall of Fame quarterback if he doesn't go to Denver, because if he goes anywhere else and he's actually on a good team and continues that playoff streak, I think he's a surefire Hall of Famer. But then he ends up getting hurt, and he goes to the two places where quarterbacks go to die. He goes to Cleveland and New York Jets. That's like the double whammy.
Still got more hardware in Cleveland, baby. Comeback player of the year.
That's right. He did get that, took him to the playoffs. And look, you saw what he did with just having Higgins and Chase as a backup and putting up 470 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's insane at 40 years old. It really depends on who's around you. And that's why I liked Baker Mayfield the same way. Nothing in Cleveland. Goes to Tampa Bay, and now look at him. It is a lot about systems in the NFL. And some of these quarterbacks who people think they want to give up on, I worry about the ones like Stroud, who I thought was like, this kid's the next big thing. And he looked like a deer in headlights, having never played football before. 4 interceptions in the first half, and his body language was that of a kid who's like defeated, like I've got nothing left. That scares me because he is talented on a talented team with weapons around him and the best defense in the league. Those are the ones that scare you.
And here's the thing. I'm going to share my screen here for a second to just pull something up, because to your point, what are we hearing all day yesterday, all day today? Denver doesn't have a shot. They don't have a shot. Stidham is in there. Bo Nix is out. But what is Denver? Denver is a system.
Yep.
They're at home. Phenomenal defense. And all Stidham needs to be is just a game manager.
Yep.
It's not like you're losing a Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. All he's got to do is hand the ball off, short passes.
And he's a serviceable backup. He's not bad. When he's played, he's been pretty good. So, you know, he does have a chance at making a little bit of noise. And Derek May, you know.
Drake May.
Drake May. He still hasn't truly been tested yet. You know, he did get pressured a lot. That's a really good defense that he was able to beat. But he also had way too many opportunities because he was on the field the entire time, just because it's, you know, Stroud could not keep the ball out of the defense's hands. So, you know, that's not going to happen in Denver. It's going to be a different look. It's going to be a different game and a different environment.
The tweet that Nick Foles sent out. So you remember Nick Foles with the Eagles when Carson Wentz got hurt and he carried them to the Super Bowl. He wrote, "Note for the Broncos and their fans. I know it has been an emotional 24 hours. I feel for Bo and the team, and I'm sending prayers for a strong recovery. A positive note going into the game versus the Patriots is that they struggle against backup quarterbacks in championship-type games."
That's so awesome. I love that. That's so awesome.
I was like, that is just phenomenal.
That's
but
true.
Yeah. You look at the betting lines, and it looks like there's money coming in on Denver plus the 5.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Denver come out and really start swinging. I think they've got a good chance. But you know, New England's a pretty complete team too. I mean, it'll be a fun game to watch. In fact, I hope it's a better game than. We had 2 good games and two kind of clunkers this weekend. So I'm hoping both games are good next weekend.
So a little teachable moment here. When we look at this game and you see New England minus 5.5, Denver plus 5.5. Of course, we know what that means. But when you're reading the lines, do you see this Denver plus 5.5 as minus 114 as opposed to New England minus 106?
I'd like to say yes, but my eyes are garbage. Hold on. I'm scooting in.
So what that's...
Oh, yep, I see it.
Yep, what that's saying is you got to pay a little extra juice if you want that plus 5.5 with Denver. So technically, that's, in layman's terms, they're favored a little bit more.
Yep. I'm not so sure I wouldn't take that too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and probably take the under.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to take the air out of the ball to keep New England's offense off.
Yeah. No pun intended, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, no more Tom Brady, so we don't have to worry about that one.
But yeah, that should be a good game. It is funny outside of Stafford. If you look at the quarterbacks left, my buddy and I were doing this yesterday. We went over the past 20 Super Bowl winners, and the list was just riddled with Hall of Famers, and if not Hall of Famers, like Hall of Almost Famers. I mean, it's really kind of funny because the only surefire Hall of Famer who won't get in is Nick Foles, or who isn't a surefire Hall of Famer is Nick Foles. He's the only other quarterbacks who will have to fight and scrap to get in, and may or may not, was Eli Manning and Joe Flacco. Because after that, you're talking about Roethlisberger, Manning, Brady, Breeze, Rodgers. Who else am I missing? Who else was on there? But I mean, they're all just big.
Brady, Favre.
They're all just big time quarterbacks, and so all of them Hall of Famers. So you look at Nick Foles truly being the outlier, and Stafford's won a quarterback too, so he was in there too. But I believe he'll probably end up getting the Hall someday too. So if Stafford doesn't win it, it's either Mays, Stidham, or Darnold. I mean, that's just, it's kind of crazy to think that that's going to be who's raising the Super Bowl this year. So
you know what's funny about that though? So go into a bar in Philadelphia. Donovan McNabb walks in. You're going to have people, loving him, but also people being like, you're overrated. You suck. You can never get us to the Super Bowl. But maybe he gets into the Hall of Fame. Nick Foles is, like you said, never going to get in the Hall of Fame. But everybody would bow down to him when he walks into any place in Philadelphia.
Well, not much different here. I mean, I don't think you could definitely make a case for Flacco, but I just don't think he'll get in. But he won us, he took us to a couple AFC Championship games, 3 AFC Championship games. He's the winningest quarterback of all time on the road and won Super Bowl and a miraculous Super Bowl run. Lamar Jackson is 3-6 in the playoffs. I mean, he's 10 times more talented than Flacco ever was, and with more weapons, but he hasn't been able to put it together yet. So kind of the same situation here in Baltimore. So
dude, it's amazing. I pulled up that list that you were just talking about to see the name that you couldn't think of for Super Bowl MVPs from most recent to past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talk about a betting edge when it gets to the Super Bowl and you see the teams that are in there. Just throw your money on a quarterback or a wide receiver.
Yeah.
There's there's a sprinkling of a linebacker like every 20 years, but it's amazing that like a kicker never even gets a sniff. But yet the pressure they're under, some of these games that are field goal games.
Yeah, you tell me Vinatieri couldn't have won 1 or 2 here and there? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there? What was the it was recent. Like that Rams game that was like 0-0 and at halftime 0-0 I think going into the third quarter. Remember that one? It was like a Rams game where neither team could score, and I think it came down to field goals.
Yeah, it's kickers don't get any love, but they sure do get some hate when they miss the big kicks. I'll tell you that much.
I wonder, from a pressure standpoint, I would love to, and it looks like Indiana's starting the second half driving again. Think about that. A goalie in hockey, a kicker, a closer in baseball. I mean, I guess basketball, you could say somebody on the free throw line at the end of the game. That's not a position. That could be anybody.
Yeah.
But take goalie, kicker, or closer. I mean, whoo. A goalie has to do it all games so they can kind of redeem themselves.
Well, put them in a shootout. Both soccer and hockey. Like put them in, the game comes down to a shootout. I always loved, like when I played, back in the day, I liked playing hockey goalie because I liked to be in the last line of defense. I love playing soccer goalie. I like to be in the last line of defense. But I was glad I didn't pitch. I'll tell you that much. I mean, that mental edge may have fried me more than being in between the nets. I don't know what it was, but pitching is a different animal. Especially, you're right. You come out. I mean, I remember even Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time, coming in and blowing the World Series to the Marlins of all. I mean, it happens, and you have to have that kind of ironclad memory where you can't remember. Like it's just, nope, I'm done. I'm gonna keep moving on.
So about 5 or 6 years or so ago, I'm at Valley Forge Casino, sitting at the table. A couple of friends of mine playing Hold'em poker, and it's Hold'em you see on TV, but this is against the dealer, so you can talk with the players. You're not trying to beat your other players. And there's this guy at the table, and he's like, "Oh, I've never played this version before. Can you help me?" So I was like, "Sure." So I'm like, "My God, this guy looks familiar." I'm trying to figure out like who the hell he is. So it finally gets to the point it hits me after like a half an hour. I'm like, "Are you Mitch Williams?" He goes, "Yeah, nice to meet you." He goes, "I'm down for an autograph signing, but I don't have to be down there till noon." I was like, "Oh, it's really nice to meet you." I go, "Man, I don't blame you for 1993. He goes, "Yeah, I don't blame myself either." It was so but I just think, I mean, perfect pitch. Joe Carter just hit a perfect ball. Game ended, but there's a closer that's all he's ever going to be known for.
I mean, even Dennis Eckersley, if you think about him, what do you think about? Kirk Gibson's home run. Like that, like hobbling on one leg, can barely walk, an unhittable closer. And he made him look foolish. He was just fouling stuff off, like could barely touch it. Almost laughing at him.
We were in a hotel room. We had dropped my brother off at college and watching that game, and it was just woo. But that's when, man, the announcers were so iconic, and that call and just everything about it.
Yeah, so those games were fun though. I loved because you do remember closers for those very reasons too. I mean, you remember Mitch Williams because of Joe Carter. You remember Armando Benitez because of the Derek Jeter home run, the scandal when he gave up the home run where Jeffrey Merrill reaches over and pulls the ball out of his glove in the Yankee Orioles game. Like you remember all those moments so vividly.
And you remember Brad Lidge. Well, I remember, on the national limelight, people may not remember, but Brad Lidge, because he went 48 for 48 with the Phillies in 2008. Perfect from April all the way through the final game of the World Series. You've got to be really mentally tough to be put in those situations, and the best are, but it's all those situations too. I mean, that's why you look at the quarterback position too. It is funny. I mean, my love affair of Joe Flacco, but I always liked how calm he was. Like nothing, he could be down 2 touchdowns with 2 minutes left, and no facial change. Like we got this, we're okay. Half the time they're probably not, but he didn't let anything rattle him. And that takes me to like that Houston game where Stroud just looked completely defeated. Like, I can't do this. And I put somebody else in. I blame the coach on that one, because Davis Mills had come in and won some games for him in the regular season. Stroud doesn't have it. He's a head case.
Yeah.
Your season's on the line. And quite honestly, New England wasn't doing a whole lot either. So that game could have been won if Houston had just sustained a few drives.
Absolutely. Hey, you got yourself a comment here. Hey, Dan, Andy, if I win a pool or fantasy league, what is the appropriate amount to tip the host or commissioner? Oh, I will defer to you.
Defer to you, Andy, because I'm a conflict of interest by this one here.
This is going to sound terrible. I don't think I've ever won a fantasy league. I am so bad at fantasy football that I don't know. I mean, is there protocol on that, Dan? This is your lane, man. I mean, well, I get bounced all the time. I am going to push it back on you here.
And Steve, thanks for joining the show. It's an honor to have you on here. So if I were to take a quick look at the standings, which I did last week, so I run a whole series of pools. I think you did one, Andy.
Yeah.
I do NFL pools. I do a college bowl pool, which you log in. You pick every single bowl game against the spread. And if memory serves me correct, when I looked, I believe that Steve Rice is going to win. But these polls, some people say keep 10%. Some people just say whatever. I've never even really thought about it. I
didn't know is there protocol? I mean, my buddies and I, we've never tipped whoever set it up. We would have that person, we got to choose where they wanted to host the next event or the restaurant or whatever, but we never tipped the host or commissioner. So that's
actually a really good conversation. And like at the casino, if you're playing like blackjack or something, or this hold'em that I talk about where you get bonus hands, usually if somebody gets a straight or better, you get an extra payout. So people will tip the dealers, like $2, $5, $1, whatever. But the conversation is, I may have just gotten a full house and won $40, but a player may be down in the hole $300 or $400 when they get that. So it's like, yes, you won that hand, but for the session you're down. So I've always talked about that with dealers, and they're like, obviously we work for tips, but we know sometimes people are, they're down $100, $200, $300, and then they just happen to win $25. You can't really expect them to tip.
Yeah. But have you tipped personally in a fantasy league before?
Yep.
Okay. No, that's a good question. Because I and maybe it depends league to league, or maybe people in Baltimore just have no class. I'm not sure, but we did.
Dude, real quick sidebar. What are your thoughts on the Harbor getting the Sphere?
Well, you text me that today, which I thought was funny when you said because you said the Inner Harbor in your text, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And so I read it's the National Harbor, so it's literally like 10 minutes outside of DC, so it's really more DC.
I thought it was the Inner Harbor in Maryland.
It's more DC, and I'm thinking you got it's from Vegas to Baltimore, like something wasn't computing, and I was wondering where the heck they even put it. But no, it's going to be a 6,000 seat. It's going to be half the size of the one in Vegas, and I've been to the one in Vegas. It's absolutely ridiculously cool. Like I saw U2 there, and I saw the Grateful Dead there, and both were cool shows. They're neat. But just what an experience. And so if they can replicate that on a smaller scale, it'd be a lot of fun because they'll probably get some acts to do that. I was
just going to say, probably get some great music. I so want to go see. My wife and I went and saw the Eagles at the Wells Fargo Center. It was like a year or two after the pandemic, and just absolutely amazing concert. Got second row seats. I mean, we're right up in front of them. So cool. Next year, they announced they're at the Sphere in Vegas. I was like, but we just couldn't make it.
I'm trying to get to Vegas next month, so we'll see. I won't be at the Sphere, but I'm trying to get out there next month.
Steve, if you're still on, I just see Miami scored. I do not have the standings in front of me. Does that affect, or is this a foregone conclusion that you've won the bowl pool? I don't know if you're still on and can answer that, But again, to our point we were saying earlier, Andy, Laura has Miami, I have Miami, you have Indiana, and AI had Indiana. Indiana's been controlling the game the whole time, but technically against the point spread, Miami's now covering.
Who was at the score? Was that Malachi Tony that just put that in? I couldn't see from too far away.
It was, but I wasn't
that
100% sure.
That kid's good too. I mean, they've got some weapons on both sides of the ball at Miami. That defense is smothering. And yeah, I don't know. Does the glass slipper fall off of Indiana tonight? I mean, that run's been so ridiculous. You kind of can't help but root for them. I mean, Miami's been there and done that. So I'm still pulling for Indiana to pull it out, see what happens.
I used to love the Catholics versus convicts. I think I still have that T-shirt. There used to be this great store in the mall that would screen print like all the popular games that were on there. And when Miami played Notre Dame, one of those like 1 versus 2s, and that was the Catholics versus convicts T-shirts that went out. Then what was the Lakers? It was like Showtime. Showtime versus Motown. Pistons and the Lakers. That was a good one. So you brought up baseball and closers. What's your thought on this whole Kyle Tucker and the Dodgers buying another World Series?
Good segue. You know what? When you first said to me, baseball needs a strike, okay, that sat with me for a second because I was really trying to process that. I'll give you my opinion, but what do you mean by baseball needs a strike? Because I have a feeling that we may be on the same page, but looking at this from a different lens.
So it's pretty much now a foregone conclusion that at the end of this upcoming season, there's going to be a lockout. And that frustrates me that if both sides have already conceded, yeah, we're going to have a lockout, well, then why not start trying to avert that lockout now instead of, well, we're not going to talk about it till November 1st, and then we'll go on a lockout for 30, 60, 120 days and start to affect everything. But I hate lockouts. I hate strikes. I like how the sports calendar segues from, the NFL playoffs are done. Then a week later, spring training starts. And then you get a couple weeks of that. Then March Madness starts. And then March Madness is done. And the real baseball starts. And that gets you to the NFL draft. It's just a nice continuum that occurs. But
it is
right now, the Dodgers, I don't know who's at fault because, hey, if I had the team with that kind of TV contract and could go buy all these great players, I'd be loving life. The Pirates, if I'm a Pirates fan, I got to be so furious at my ownership because you're not spending any money, but you're making money. You're getting, a new stadium. You're getting TV revenue. Paul Skeens is going to be on the Yankees or Dodgers or Anaheim Angels probably a year or two. So I think they need a strike because that might be the only way to get a salary cap. But not just a salary cap. There needs, I don't know what the term would be. There needs to be a floor as well. Like teams have to spend a certain minimum.
Yeah, I think this is what's I'm trying to wrap my head around this because, first of all, Kyle Tucker's contract is ridiculous because no one's worth that kind of money.
Nope.
But from a player standpoint, I mean, his contract makes the Orioles signing of Alonso look like a steal. Same with Schwarber. The money that those guys were given for 5 years, and now you're looking at 4 years, $240 for Kyle Tucker. I'm thinking, no, that's insane. But then I started to really wrap my head around this. Money's not an object for the Dodgers. They have no problems buying whoever they want to buy. And then they have no problems losing draft picks for it and paying an inordinate amount of money in luxury tax. So you mentioned the Pirates. The Pirates and the Royals and these small teams, they're still getting a lot of money. They get millions of dollars in this because every year you go over, and I want to say it's $230 million, something like that in total team salary. You pay your luxury tax, and that goes up every single year. This year, they're like 110% of the tax on that, and that's getting spread out. So I'm wondering if this is some sort of owner collusion in a way where they're all rooting for the Dodgers to do this for the strike so they can get a salary cap themselves and paint the players like the villains here, the greedy ones. And because everyone knows the Major League Baseball Players Union is the strongest union in the country.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at something completely different. It's almost like the collusion of 87 or something like that when that happened. I don't know. It's a very weird. I don't know who's at fault here, because no one's breaking rules, but they're kind of killing the game and parity, because all the Dodgers are doing is saying it's fine. Hey, Tampa Bay. Hey, Baltimore. Hey, KC. Hey, Pittsburgh. Continue to be what the Expos used to be, a killer AAA team who could just find and cultivate all this talent to not be retained because you can't pay them, and we'll gobble them up in 7 years. No big deal, because we can buy our bats and buy our arms while you guys try and grow them until you can't keep them anymore. And something does need to be done, but it's all going to be at the expense of the fans, which stinks because, if it weren't for Cal Ripken coming back in and saving baseball after that last strike that happened, baseball was dying on the vine.
Yep. And then the juice ball to make McGuire and Sosa interest.
So I really don't know what the answer to that. I don't know how to feel about it, because it's I look at something like the NHL, which again is not properly marketed, but it's such a better product. Arenas are filled, parity in the league, and teams are fighting to get better because there is no relegation, but there's also a possibility that you could lose your franchise if you just aren't in the basement for too long and attendance is poor. That's what they fear. It's not a whole lot of that fear in baseball. I mean, the A's purposely tanked to get out of there, but for the most part, you're kind of safe in baseball. It's a different animal, I think. And
I've often wondered about that. If you could do it in baseball or even college football, for instance, the relegation like they have in the European soccer leagues, you have all these super conferences. Well, you know what? Make it 5 16-team super conferences. Right now, there's 136, I believe, Division I football teams. So have 5 or 6 16-team conferences. Then those other teams are in the Division I AA. The bottom 4 teams of, say, the Big Ten, they get relegated to whatever conference would be vertically below them. And the top 4 teams of the Division I AA conference move up.
I think it'd be cool.
I think there could be something to that.
I love the idea of the relegation system. I think it's awesome in soccer. You've got teams fighting to stay in it also makes the teams at the bottom, you can't tank.
Yeah.
Because the last thing, you lose a lot of money when you go from the EPL to the Championship League. So they want to, and then vice versa. You go to League 2 and League 1, you lose a lot of money. So there is motivation, and the games where the top 3 or 4 teams are fighting to either get in the playoffs or to advance. The bottom 3 or 4 or 5 teams are fighting just to stay in the league. It makes it really exciting last couple of weeks of the season. I don't know how you can do that sometimes in college just because of the transient nature of players and the portal. It might make it difficult to do, but it would be cool in professional sports to see it happen. MLS makes the most sense, but soccer's just not big enough that I think people would care enough. But if you do that, imagine doing that in baseball where
you could, because there's a lot of kick-ass AAA teams.
There really are.
Cool stadiums, cool names.
Durham Bulls are, next thing you know, they're in the AL East. It's like, holy crap! Like this is really neat. Like this is kind of fun. Like I think that would be something, but not just that. Imagine being a minor league team and we're playing the Kansas City Royals this week. The who? We're playing the Kansas City Royals. They're a minor league team now. Like that would be incentive, and it goes to your point with the cap. There should be a minimum spending amount too, because these teams shouldn't be able to just get by spending $120 million the entire year when Kyle Tucker's contract is for $240 million. I think that's insane too. Like you have to show some sort of faith in the product you put on the field. baseball's a mess, and it's a beautiful, will always be my favorite sport. I feel it's like it's the perfect sport, and I feel like they're doing a lot to try and muddy that up. But gosh, don't kill it, because it's it's just there's
Although
something
I
about
will
baseball.
say, I was not a fan of it at first, but I am liking the pitch clock.
Pitch
I'm
clock,
not
I'm fine
liking
with.
the ghost. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say pitch clock I'm fine with. I'm an old school baseball guy, so like I have zero issues with the pitch clock. It's fine. It was a little bit of annoyance, but whatever. It's fine. The runner on second base in extra innings, I think, is ridiculously dumb.
That's stupid. Get rid of that. And
That's got to go.
The 6-inch long oven mitt that they all wear so they can
That's got to go too. And you know what? If you want to throw the ball over 15 times, pick somebody off, do it too. Can you imagine Tim Raines and Ricky Henderson and Vince Coleman playing today, knowing they've got oven mitts, bigger bases, and you can only have 2 pickoff attempts? You're stealing 150 bases a piece. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. So I just
this question at you. I was talking to my brother-in-law last night, and we were talking, how baseball has all these, the Field of Dreams game, the Little League World Series game that they do in August where they play in Williamsport. They tried the baseball game at Bristol Speedway, which was a disaster because of the rain and everything. And
if I remember that.
But take out of the equation, if there's mountains or it logistically couldn't be done, what do you think would be a cool landmark or area to play a baseball game? Oh, Field of Dreams, that's the other one they've been doing now. How cool would Mount Rushmore be?
I was just about to say that would be pretty neat.
Dude, could you imagine
out there with that in the backdrop? Yeah, that would be. I was actually going to say that. I think that'd be really neat. It also would be cool if you could, I'm trying to think. Field of Dreams was neat, but if you could do some sort of ocean-like backdrop. Not like the bay, like McCovey Cove, but almost some sort of ocean backdrop, because these fields are put up and taken down quickly. So, you could probably do it almost anywhere. Trying to think of where else would be neat. Yeah, you're looking at landmarks would be kind of fun, but Mount Rushmore would be the first one that comes to mind.
And I thought, just take all these famous fictional baseball movies we grew up with, like The Sandlot. Find somewhere where you're playing a game literally on a sandlot, which I know that gets a little goofy,
but there is I think of all the sports, someone says you can't help but get romantic about baseball. To me, there is something to that. There is something about baseball that is different than any other sport. And so, you could play it in a sandlot, or you could play it in Yankee Stadium in front of 60,000. I just love that about. You can say that about any sport technically, but there's something about baseball just a little bit special. So, I love the idea though, Dan. We should actually put some thought into that. Really research where a cool backdrop would be to play a game. Because I'm liking these outdoor winter Heritage Classic games that the NHL does, where they'll do them outside, and they did Fenway Park, they played a hockey game. There was stuff like that. That's kind of neat. That's cool. So I'd like to see baseball, and it doesn't have to be overseas.
Exactly.
You can do it here.
Yeah. My brother-in-law was saying what he would do. Oh, Indiana's starting to, I think, be afraid of winning.
Oh, did they turn?
I'd say.
Did they turn it over?
It was 3rd and 12. He had the wide receiver hit him right in the numbers, and he dropped it.
Oh, I'm a couple seconds behind you. So yeah.
I mean, he probably should have caught that one. Yeah, but my brother-in-law was saying that area in Alaska where it's sunlight even at midnight. That would be. I forget what it's called, but that would really be kind of a cool setting.
Yeah, some cool. So do one out in Napa Valley where you've got some vineyards in the backdrop or something like that. I mean, there's all kinds of goofy things you could do, but at the end of the day, that would be a fun topic of conversation. Where else you could do do a couple of special baseball games. But it's, to go back to that whole relegation thing, baseball would, I think, be the obvious choice for that.
Because I just saw, what did I see? The South Florida, they're the frozen iguanas. I don't know if they're AA or I want to say they're AAA, but they're like the Fort Myers frozen iguanas. Like, how cool is that?
Some of them are fun. I think one in New Mexico, I don't know if it's Santa Fe or if it's another team, it was like the Santa Fe Chihuahuas or something like that. I mean, the bottom line is not so much even the names, but some of these states that have zero market presence because you're never going to get a professional team in Lincoln, Nebraska or Santa Fe, New Mexico. Like, they've got minor league teams all over the place. And if they are good enough, how neat would it be to see the Yankees playing a game in Santa Fe or, like you said, playing a game in Fort Myers, Florida or something like that? Like, I think that's really cool. And it would work, I think, in baseball. Baseball's the one place where I think it would work. There's no minor league football. You've got CFL and you've got some other places, but it would never work because college is your minors. Kind of the same with basketball. So there's really not much else that you could do it with, except hockey's the other one. But hockey and soccer aren't popular enough that I think it would drive the stakes and the ratings. So for baseball, that'd be really neat. Now, as an Orioles fan, it'd be very scary, but it would be neat.
Dude, I'll tell you what, we should write these ideas down and send them to Rob Manfred and see what we can get going there.
Dear Dan and Andy from Winners and Dinners, please don't write to me again.
We'll get a cease and desist letter from Manfred.
I watched your intro. Some of that is copyrighted. Please take your channel down. It would be cool. But yeah, I mean, going back to the whole Kyle Tucker thing, I do hope that I don't want to strike. You might be right that they may be in need of one, whether it's collusion by the owners, whether it's just baseball in general needs it. But, a lot of these owners have a lot more money to spend than they choose to. And they're very content. They don't care if they're winning or losing. They just care about the bucks keep rolling in. That's what kind of made
Florida. Could you imagine being a Marlins fan knowing back in the day, like, oh, we won a World Series, but you knew damn right well by November half that team was going to be somewhere else.
Yeah, well, think about Oakland. I mean, that they love the A's. I mean, it's bad enough that you're in Oakland. Sorry, I mean, I live in Baltimore. I can say that with conviction. Okay, but they had the A's, and they were doing everything they could to get that franchise out. Everything they could, at the detriment of the fans. No issues whatsoever. And that just shouldn't be allowed, because it's at the end of the day, they're the ones who. I remember watching the Bash Brothers. I remember watching some of those amazing Oakland A's teams. They were fun. I mean, there's history there. There's a lot of history there. It's just and it's going to up and go to the glitz and glam of Vegas, which I'm sure will be a blast. But it stinks for the people who were in Oakland,
Dude, I remember that poster, the Bash Brothers poster, and McGuire was a quote Bash brother, and he looked like 120 pounds compared to what he looked like with the Cardinals.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Why am I drawing a blank on the other?
Canseco.
Canseco.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was all of them. I mean, you remember? I mean, Barry Bonds' rookie helmet and hat wouldn't fit him in a million years by the time he was playing for San Francisco. I mean, he was so tiny in Pittsburgh. Sammy Sosa's rookie card with the Cubs.
Yeah.
String bean.
Yeah. And then you look at the Mike Schmitz of the world in the 70s and 80s, like skinny, not jacked up, and they were popping out 48, 50 home runs a year.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, we talk about Oakland, and that's a shame for the city of Oakland and the fans, but my God, that's going to be a cool ass stadium in Vegas.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And Vegas is doing things right. I really do want to go see the Raiders play because I'll tell you, I got a chance to see the Golden Knights play out in Vegas. It's one of the most fun experiences. I love watching hockey live, and they're great in almost any arena, but that was something special. I mean, it was a show. I saw Winnipeg play the Golden Knights out there. And Dan, they brought literally a jet plane out onto the ice and had these lasers come and blow it up. And There's cheerleaders all the way around. There's a band in the corner here. There's laser lights going on over the place. I mean, it was a show. It was Vegas, but it's hockey, and it was just ridiculously fun. And baseball could use a little bit of that. I mean,
are you watching?
Something happened. Who turned who?
I won't say anything because there's a few second delay here. This pregnant pause as you catch up here. Wow, hell of a play.
Oh, is that a touchdown? Yeah, it is.
Blocked punt.
Wow.
Dude, that's awesome.
Hoosiers going crazy.
So you think Michael Irvin's a little coked up on the sidelines there those last few games? Or is that just his energy level?
I'll tell you, I forget what show I was watching ESPN today. Cam Newton was on the, and I'm like, what in the hell are you wearing?
A movie character.
I mean,
with the wardrobe and
like, what in the world? You know, guys like him irritate me, though. I'll just say this. He was ripping Josh Allen to shreds about his performance. I'm like, buddy, I watched you play football.
Yeah.
You have zero room to be trashing somebody with the talent level of Josh Allen. It's funny how these former quarterbacks can be the toughest on the guys who are playing now, and they've been in those shoes. I'm like, come on, none of you guys had rings. So, but yeah.
It's funny. Like, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were talking about and I don't know if you're on like a whole lot of social media, like the reels and stuff that pop up, and you'll get the intro songs to the 1980, like NFL Today, the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And just that music brings back that flood of memories. But I don't know if it's because of so much information out there now with the internet and just talk shows and podcasts and all that. But I remember you'd go to church and you would rush to get home to be in front of the TV before the pregame show came on, because that's where you got all your, what's the weather, what are the injuries, all that. These pregame shows now are so bad, you can't even watch them.
Yeah. And they're really, I don't know. I mean, it is technically you're reporting on the news, because we know about this today. It's careful what fact from fiction and opinion. But boy, do they go down rabbit holes sometimes with the opinion pieces on these shows. Like, just give the facts to us and
try to be clickbait and
give your predictions. But I mean, it can be a little bit over the top. But it's big money, man, and a lot of this is driving, or being driven by the gambling machine too. So it is interesting how that's kind of played out with sports too. I mean, I've never really thought about it until we started doing this show together. And now I'm listening like almost every break on 105.7. I listen to the Fan, like out here in Baltimore. That's our local sport. Every break, they're talking about a spread, like going into a break. I'm like, I didn't even realize just how much that's constantly being kind of driven home to everybody. So, and then you see it all the time. You see it on the sports tickers, the spreads on the side and stuff going by. And it's interesting, man. It's big business.
I mean, I remember not too long ago, the NFL, you still can't say, quote, Super Bowl. It's the big game because they have everything copyrighted. But I remember there was a story, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's like, no, you're making that up. I Googled it and sent it to him. Remember that show Vegas that was on with like James Caan? And
yep.
They wouldn't air the commercials for that during NFL games.
Really?
NBC, yep, because they wanted no association with Las Vegas whatsoever. That was one of their top shows, but they weren't allowed to run commercials for it during NFL games.
Interesting.
Which was just, it was kind of mind-blowing. So speaking of NFL games, as we got a school night here, beginning to wrap this up, need the old predictions for this weekend, Andy. Let me pull this back up here.
Yeah, pull that up. I was just checking the score here. Jonathan Tays makes his triumphant return to Chicago tonight after winning 3 Stanley Cups with them as a visitor.
And I was going to put a parlay in with, but I tell you, I got to show you this. You want an adrenaline rush? Well, not so much an adrenaline rush, but it might not be up because they don't post it till the day of the games. But both teams to score, it's a fun little bet in hockey.
Did you have the Jets and the Blackhawks to score?
And the Flyers and the Knights. Thank God I don't have the Jets and the Blackhawks, because you start getting like, come on, they'll score. Then it gets to be the third period, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I do think they should score. I mean, that should be a higher scoring game than 1-0 as it is. But yeah, you never know.
I'll tell you what, this Indiana game might not be over yet. Miami's driving down here, so I'm going to go to the NFL. And I'll let you start with New England Denver, since you beat me this week.
Well, let's put it this way. I think if Bo Nix was playing, this would be a much easier one for me to choose. But I'm not so sure that it's going to make as big a difference like we talked about. So I'm going to take Denver, but I don't like the spread. I'm just going to take the money on Denver.
You're taking Denver to beat New England. You don't even want the 5.5. You're going on the money line. Plus 215. I like it.
Yes, I am.
I am going to take Denver plus the 5.5. So look, Miami's getting ready to score. Then our next game, we have the Seahawks against the Rams. You talk about a coin toss.
Yeah,
this
I
is going to
agree.
be the third time they're 1-1 this year against each other. Something with Stafford just hasn't felt right these playoffs. Like he's missing some easy throws, but then when he needs to clutch, he's coming through. So it's so hard to figure out.
So who are you taking?
I'm going to take the Rams plus 2.5.
I will. I'll do the opposite. I'm going to take Seattle minus 2.5.
All right, minus 2.5.
Something good has to happen to a former Jet player, so we're gonna just.
I'm just going to see if I can pull up a game. So when I was talking about adrenaline rush, and I don't know if they're up yet or if these come up. I think they come up the day of, but it's goal. Oh, you know what? Let me just see here under goals. No, not up yet. But they have goals in the first 5 minutes. Like either team can score, but will they score in the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes? It's every 5-minute increment of a game. And then obviously the odds decrease, but you do the first 5 minutes of a game. It's usually like 8-1, 10-1. So it's a nice little.
Yeah. My buddy was, when we went to the game for the Broncos, Bills, he had a 7-player first quarter parlay.
Oh, wow. You're going to go quick.
Yeah, and it was crazy. Both running backs had to get 5 yards. Both quarterbacks had to rush for 5 yards. 2 wide receivers, one on each team, had to receive 5 yards. And then there was a random tight end, I can't remember who it was, that had to receive 5 yards. So if he got all those, he put $10 down. I think he was going to win 300.
Wow. How did he end up doing?
Oh, he didn't even come close. I mean, there was just not enough time for all that to happen. Like I was like, Johnny, this is a fool's bet. He's like, I know, but it's going to keep it interesting, make me watch. So he's looking for each person to see who's. And, yeah, I think two of the 7 got the 5 yards he needed. Like even at the end of the game, they hadn't all hit where they needed to be. So it was kind of funny, but yeah, I was just like, those are the fun things. And he's like, I'll just do this on the next one. And you realize that some people just for fun, they're like, they do it to make the games more fun to watch or more interesting. They'll just throw some random stuff down and see what happens. So, but
yeah, what? One quick thing I do want to share quickly here, if I can find it. What we were talking about earlier at the beginning. But this, minus 300, which seems to be the sweet spot. Let me just reset that to 25. But, dude, you just rattle off 9. It's a $240 profit. You get 2 or 3 of those in a day. That's less than a week, and then just kind of reset and just slowly build a bankroll that way.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a fun way to build a little bankroll there.
But maybe next week we'll do that live. We'll come up with like some things we want to put in.
We'll start digging into the Olympics as well.
We can do that. It's coming up very soon.
Is that you on there still? I see someone listed here, but I don't know if that's. But I just wanted to acknowledge and thank the viewer here that came on as we are wrapping up.
Well, whoever has a pleasure of seeing you, buddy, is a lucky person. So we will do this again next week. Yeah.
All right. I look forward to it as we begin the start of the 4th quarter in the college football championship here. So have a good night.
You too. All right. Go Hoosiers.
See
you, buddy.